Alright. Hello everyone. Welcome back. We're playing Rivulet. Remember when I played this game? Hello everyone. I think that's everything. I'm playing Rivulet because they're fun. It has been a little while, but sometimes, you know, it's nice to take a break. You might actually improve, even if you haven't played in a while. Is that how some industry streaming? Pick that up too late. What do you mean by that? Hold up, I'm throwing. Do I have DevTools on? I do. I think I have all the right mods. Sometimes the best way to improve is to take a break. Like actually, real advice here. And obviously sometimes the best way to improve is in fact just to like practice a lot. I think in some cases, you know, taking a break, especially if in like my specific case for Rain World. Also, thanks for pointing it out. Unless you want the keyboard sounds. There we go. Cursor on screen, it's always going to haunt me. Just for 11 hours a day. Oops, that's not what you do. For my got patched. I think that problem wasn't really too bad anyway, because there's a way you could get around it, right? I think I have warp mod enabled. Yes. So I can do this again, and this shouldn't break. I didn't know I could do that. Well, I hope that's true. Let's try that again. It's 4 inputs total. 4 jumps total. I might have turn storage, but I don't think so. I said that I didn't have turn storage, and I still tried it anyway. I don't know why. Yes, this is Rivulet. I think that when you open the game, it just automatically updates mods. Or at least when you enable it. Bad. Ooh, that can happen. Escape drainage system. Finally did it. Man, this like slope physics is really bizarre. I really would like to know of a way to like get rid of it. To like just climb up the slope without that, like going backwards a little bit at least. Just try like every combination of inputs. Oh, that kind of works. Like hold up and then forward after a little bit. Maybe. I guess it's better than nothing. That's pretty clean. It's the end of the cycle. Yeah. Funny you can see the palette change instantly. I have not done an air hop in like a week. I kind of wonder if you could do the same. You can. That's interesting. I wonder if that'd actually be any better. You need to be holding diagonally up. That actually might that might make that jump a little bit more consistent since you gain a little bit of height immediately. Oh, that can happen. I was actually trying to like do the opposite. I didn't want to jump too late, but I was trying to avoid like wall pantsing there. And into the shelter. Yes, Rivulet is back. Imagine sliding your head into a wall and then you just immediately fall asleep. I mean, you don't need to imagine that. You could go and do that right now, but I wouldn't recommend it. I actually recommend against it. Like, I guess for that jump, you kind of want to grab onto the pole as soon as you can. Ooh, that was close. We're behind username and logo. Thanks for... I was distracted and I fell off a cliff. Um... I'll be honest, Argon was a completely arbitrary choice. I was playing some random like flash game or like browser game, I don't know. And I needed to make an account and I was like, I guess my username will be Argon. That's actually like all the thought that was put into it. That it would be like a username for some browser game. And it was a username that I had never used before. Like I had usernames that I'd like often used for making accounts and stuff. And Argon wasn't one of them, and I just decided for this particular game it would be. I don't know why, but that kind of just stuck. And then Regon was a combination of Argon and a previous username that I had used. Whoops. If shelter filters affected the underhang, you don't need to imagine. You don't need to imagine, because it happens. There can be shelter failures in underhang, and it's awful. They're actually way worse than regular shelter failures. They will kill your grapple worms, if you have any. I was able to reach it. Wasn't a shelter failure just now? No. I have shelter failures turned off for speedruns. You're allowed to do that. I think I have a video or stream on this channel that has that old username. So I guess I don't care too much. But that's like, I don't know. I guess I'd prefer if that kind of just stayed in the past. Yeah, Rivulet, for Rivulet, it's just kind of raining all the time. Just by default, just a little bit of rain. Which is actually one of my favorite parts of this campaign. Because the atmosphere of every single area feels a little bit different just because of the rain and the slightly different color palettes. It kind of lets you know just how much the world has changed in this part of the timeline. Turn, please. That was interesting movement. That was strange. Please. Yeah, I guess so. Like, if you're familiar with the lore, then you know that the rain is significant because it's from the iterators. So if the rain is different, then the iterators are different too. That's kind of the logic there. It's never happened like that before. A little bit about the username thing. The like arbitrary decision to make Argon the username kind of like also make me like the element itself more. I'd activate this later. Because if you were to ask me like what's my favorite elements on the periodic table, I would not have an answer to that. But now I just say, oh, it's Argon. Like, just because I randomly picked it as a unit's name, it has become my favorite, and now I always notice Argon when it comes up. It's as an element, it's useful in like many different ways that you don't even think of. Mostly because it's very inert, the noble gas, so it doesn't react with anything. So if you're doing some scientific thing, doesn't really matter what. If you're doing something that is sensitive to like oxygen or just the air in general, but you don't want to create a vacuum, you can just create an atmosphere of like argon, right? Not an atmosphere, just like a little enclosed space, and fill it with argon. So there's still air in there, it's just not oxygen. And just because of that, argon is like very useful for like a ton of different things. It's also, you're breathing it all the time. It's in the air. It tends to be like whenever there's lists of like what is in the atmosphere, like nitrogen, oxygen, CO2, and then like argon is there, but it is like the lowest proportion of an element in the atmosphere that is still mentioned, because the rest of the stuff in the atmosphere is just listed as like other, like all of the other stuff in the atmosphere, but argon is like, you can still point that one out. There's like just enough of it for it to be notable. Part of the campaign was the trip from Pebbles to Moon. Whoops! Don't do a roll pants there. Did make a mistake there. I'm pretty sure you can make that jump even without the cell turned on, but just to be safe, you want to have it on, so that you're extra confident. I saved myself and then I just jumped off anyway. I feel there's this kind of like strange feeling that I have about Rivulet's campaign, where it's like, it's a campaign that I really enjoy. I really enjoy playing as Rivulet. The whole campaign is just like a lot of fun, but it is also horribly balanced. And from like a game design standpoint, it's kind of a mess. There's actually a video that goes into detail about this and it's really good. I forget what it's called. Maybe I should look it up just so I can credit it right now. But basically the idea is just that Rivulet is already a character that is very fast, and it makes pretty much the entire game trivial because you can jump over things really easily, you can make every jump super easily, you can outrun enemies. But then you get the cell and you suddenly become even stronger. It's like, what? You're even faster than you were before. It's like, yeah, it's like, it makes the game really easy, and it kind of like gets rid of like the whole challenge and like idea of like being this weak predator at the bottom of the, or weak prey at the bottom of the food chain, But it's fun, the game is still fun to play, so you just kind of ignore that all. And I guess if you're playing through like all of Downpour, if you're playing through all of Downpour campaigns in a row, you've done like Artificer, you've done Gourmand, maybe you played Spearmaster too. Like those are all like fairly difficult campaigns. Gourmand is a little bit lower, but Gourmand themselves is quite weak. Well, I mean, they're not like too weak, but they're they're not as capable as some of the other characters, like Artie. But if you've just played through all of the campaigns in a row, except for Rivulets, then you play Rivulet and it's like pretty easy. So I guess it's kind of nice to take a break in between all the difficult campaigns. Oh, you know what I did there? I actually activated it too late. Yeah. You can't hold any spears or rocks, but the thing is that Rivulet doesn't really need those anyway, you know? You already don't like fight stuff. Like you're already fast enough to outrun everything. So it's not even that like huge of a downside. It's huge for like Spearmaster because you are constantly fighting stuff, using rock and spears as much as you can, just to get food, you know. And so the pearl is actually like a much bigger problem for Spearmaster. And the pearl like only takes up one inventory slot. For Riv, it takes up both your hands, right? But it's still not even as bad. Just like goes to show how good mobility is in this game. Okay, that pounce. I feel like that pounce is so natural to do, but it also ends up getting you killed. This pounce is really difficult because it's entirely off screen. You don't even know like when to do the timing. Tensions between the danger of short cycles and having to navigate submerged superstructure. I don't think submerged superstructure is dangerous enough for that to be a fair comparison. Because you're a Rivulet and you have the cell, so like underwater mobility is like very easy. Oh shoot, you're not supposed to activate the cell here, right? This is where my routing falls apart, and I don't really remember what you're supposed to do. But yeah, submerged is not that difficult. It's a little bit, the biggest difficulty is navigation, honestly. Like finding the hearts, because the region is just so huge. I guess there's just kind of a lack of underwater predators, really. Like there's leviathans and aquapees, and that's it. There's eel lizards too. Eel lizards and maybe salamanders if you want to include them too. But those are pretty much it. And also underwater combat just kind of isn't really possible, right? You can't throw spears, you can't use rocks, you can't jump over things. Like it's very like one-dimensional. Or actually, I guess it's very two-dimensional. Jetfish are the real predators. Actually true. But like most combat kind of, or most encounters with creatures just kind of devolve into run away from them, you know? You can't really have as many interesting behaviors. When all there is underwater creature that chases after you, you know? That's like as complex as it's gonna get. And there is a little bit of complexity, like eel lizards tend to try to like ambush you. They're ambush predators that hide underwater. Leviathans are just massive. I guess like that's kind of it, right? Really, for like behavior variety. I find that jump really funny. Man, this area, I still don't like it. I don't want to slow down on purpose. The only solution really is just to activate the cell way earlier, and then that just kind of messes with everything else. Corner slide wall pounce. It is fun with the cell on. You just fly up the entire room. Never worth it. I do have that mod on. No creatures. I have like a preset that gives, or that removes all like the predators, but some creatures like jetfish, squidcada, reindeer, they're still around in case there's a speedrun that uses those creatures. I'm surprised you weren't confused about the lack of every single other creature in the run. Like DLLs or cyan lizards. The orange lizards in memory crypts. Spiders, scavengers. That's actually one of my favorite rooms in the whole run. The fact that you can do an extended slide if you throw the cell away. A spin that uses reindeer sounds awful. There used to be a way you could like spam throw spears at the reindeer and it would make them go really fast. There's some really funny clips of that, but I think that was patched out. There's deer skip. I think it's called deer skip. If you enter a room and there's a deer in that room, you can hold out a spore puff for the deer, and then when they get close, eat or swallow the spore puff, and then it will like pseudo crash the game, such that some stuff is broken but other things aren't broken. So basically, it lets you walk across the room, and the worm grass won't work. They won't be able to grab you, but you'll still be able to make it to the other room. So you can basically use that glitch to cross any worm grass room without having to ride the reindeer. I have not done the glitch myself, and I don't ever really want to do a speedrun that uses this. I guess just none of the categories really sound appealing that either. Like I haven't really felt motivated to try out anything. That's consistent. I've been so worried about that jellyfish grabbing me, but it never has. It has yet to grab me. Forget about creatures in the run. It's practice? Yes. It will always be practice for Rivulet. For a while. I kind of wonder if there's anything I can do to prevent the game from crashing. Like, what if I enter arena mode? Will the game still crash if I like enter the game first? I'm playing Survivor. Wow, look at this. It didn't crash. You don't want to stand too close to the wall there. Hold up. Don't do that. When specifically does it crash? When you exit out of the game and re-enter the game. The loading screen before you like wake up in that tunnel back there. It's the loading screen. Sometimes it will just go on forever and never actually load in the game. So the game doesn't crash, but it never starts. That's the problem. And if you then close the game and re-enter it, you will have one less karma than you should. Which means you can't enter Moon. You have to shelter. So it loses a lot of time. Just a boot up arena. I don't know if it works, but it might. Just like opening the game outside of the Rivulet's campaign might like refresh something and make it not crash when I then go back to Rivulet. The MSC percent run, yes. If you weren't there at the end of my MSC percent run, the game crashed for Rivulet and I needed to shelter for higher karma. But there was no food because I was just gonna eat the popcorn plant, but I didn't have a spear, and I spent like 2 minutes looking for a spear. And I just gave up. And I don't know what I did. I might have like restarted. Just to like go back to the start of the I don't know, it lost like several minutes just because there was no spear in the entirety of the bitter area, and also just because the game crashed. To verify that soon. I am sorry for that. Your moon can feel out cold, bitter areas. Well, she says that the rain is unpleasant. So there's some sort of... She probably has some sort of perception of the world, right? And also she tells the saint, like, you shouldn't stay here. It's not very well insulated or something like that. I will probably feel bombs. I feel like the iterators, the puppets themselves, don't really have any perception of what's happening to the structure, except for what the overseers tell them. Like, the overseers are there to perceive the outside world, right? And they can then deliver that information back to the iterator or just the rest of the structure. You can get griefed by snails, and scavengers didn't show up. That's I think that's a pretty obvious tell. If there aren't scavengers, then you're probably cheating. You would normally get Karma 5 here. I have Karma requirements disabled, so I don't have the Karma cache, because it's annoying. Oops. I have turn storage, so I will do a backflip on this pole. Oops. I don't really like those wall jumps there. Monk gates. No, it's even better than monk gates. There's not even any karma requirements in the first place. I mean, for the most part, yeah, cheating in single-player games is pretty inconsequential, unless it is competitive in some way, like in speedruns or like high scores. But those aren't really single-player, right? Because you're kind of like competing with other people in general, even if they're not in the same game. If you require Karma 5 for the gate, you need to spend time to get the Karma. What? I don't understand something here. This is, well, okay, this is a practice run, first of all, so this is not something that I can submit, obviously. I'm using mods to make it easier. If I was doing an actual run, you would use a glitch to gain karma. And go to the gate normally. But when you're karma caching, that does still add time to the whole run. Thought it was legit. Yeah, we're allowed to just like turn off karma requirements and turn off creatures too. And... oh, the consequences of my actions. Oh no, I thought it was consistent. Yeah, you just have to do that jump very early. And backflip. More than 100, definitely. It definitely depends on what you count as movement tech. Because there's a lot of movement tech that has like many different variations. Like, would you call every single individual variation its own movement? Its own tech, you know? Like, when you do a wall pounce like this, there's 2 different versions, depending on the timing that you press the jump button. I guess you would call those both just a corner wall pounce or a corner slide wall pounce or whatever the name is, because I don't even know. But there's a different timing, depending on if you like do a slightly different timing, you can get sent in a completely different angle with like different physics properties. Is that a different move? I don't know. Too many. There's this video that I kind of don't like. I mean, it's a fine video, but like conceptually, you know, it's basically about Rainworld's movement system and how it's a bad thing that it has so much movement. You know, it's like, it's not as like, it's not very like clean, you know, there's like all this like random movement tech that's just unnecessary, you know, and that's true. There's a lot of movement tech that is unnecessary and like kind of pointless, but that's not like, that's not the game's fault, that's the player's fault and the physics system's fault. I'm dead. It's not like the game developer was like, yes, we're going to add a frame perfect variance of this like weird obscure physics abuse tech, you know. The developers did not do that. The physics engine just kind of decided some things are going to happen, and the community decided to give those things names, you know. People love like Mario 64's movements and the speedruns and stuff, but it has so much like complete jank that is like probably never used in speedruns and definitely not intentional by the developers. And people don't complain about that, right? Because it's a really old game and people are gonna find exploits and random glitches and stuff in the movement system, right? I mean, Rainworld isn't an old game, but just the way that like physics and movement work kind of allows for a lot of stuff to happen that isn't intentional. Ah, really? Wasn't even going to be a thing. I'm glad it's in the game. I'm very happy about wall pouncing. I don't think it should be on by default. Going to be honest, I wish wall pouncing was not enabled by default if you have the remix settings on. Because so many people get messed up by wall pounces accidentally. I understand why they were removed. Because wall pounces were in the game in like the earliest versions and then removed for like 1.5 and on. And then Downpour brought them back as an optional feature. But it's enabled by default if you turn on the remix settings. And the problem with wall pounces is that it's very easy to do them accidentally. And if you do them accidentally, you get sent flying backwards or flying upwards, and you know, it can be annoying if suddenly your trajectory changes so quickly without you even trying to do anything. Can I stop doing that? Rivulet? Goodness, this room. I'm gonna blame the lag, by the way, because this room is always laggy. There we go. But I see a lot of people complaining about wall pounces, and it's like, you could just turn them off. But that is strange to like ask someone to like go into the settings and turn off this obscure movement. Like, do they even know that it's called a wall pounce? I think they're especially bad as Artificer and Saint. Because wall pounces are mostly useful for gaining vertical momentum. You know, if you want to move up, that's when you want to do a wall pounce. And Artie and Saint are already very good at moving up. It's kind of the whole point of their movements, you know? Like, Saint can literally just climb walls infinitely. So, they don't need wall pounces. They're mostly a hindrance. So, and also Saint and Artie tend to accidentally wall pounce a whole lot. Because if you're Artie and you just wall jump, or you double jump into a wall, you just do a bounce automatically. And you bounce off the wall. Well, without wall pounces enabled, what happens is that you just slide up the wall. And so having wall pounces on makes it significantly more difficult to just climb up walls as Artie. Oops, forgot to eat the fruit. I think I've learned, it was from playing Pizza Tower, that I shouldn't speedrun games on my first playthrough. And same with Archfail, if you know what that game is. Because I actually live streamed that game forever ago. But I like to do this thing to like just challenge myself. Like, how quickly can I beat this game when I first play it? Don't do that. I don't recommend it. Because you're missing out on a lot. You don't have time to slow down and understand mechanics. You don't have time to explore and look for secrets and stuff. I think I may have partially removed, or yeah, I've hurt my experience of some games by attempting to speedrun them on my first playthrough. Really, this setup is so inconsistent, I can never figure out how to do it. And if you mess up, you just die. There we go. On the rot of the region. Whoops, wrong way. Thank you for distracting me. I don't really like it because it's annoying and difficult to navigate. In terms of like lore and aesthetics, it's very good. Five Pebbles is always a very interesting place visually. In terms of gameplay, it bothers me because I really like Rivulet's movements, being able to run around really fast. And a lot of these rooms kind of require that you take it slowly, right? You take your time, you line up your jumps, you wait for the right gravity, you know. I don't like that kind of playstyle with Rivulet. I like seeing if I can go as fast as possible, you know. And having to like slow down and line up your jumps and wait for the right gravity and just all this stuff just slows you down, really. And I feel like it'd be fine as another character. Oh, just barely made it in. I think it would be fine as another character, but as Riv, I feel like I want to go as fast as possible. And of course, as a speedrunner, you know, in the Rivulet speedrun, I've learned how to navigate this area quickly. But only this one particular route. I feel like if I were to stray from this route, like from a single, like, if I were to go a single room outside of this route, then I would not know what to do, and I'd move very slowly all of a sudden. Also, another problem with this region is that the one objective that you need to find is kind of hard to find. I mean, that's a pretty obvious problem, right? I guess it requires that you like explore and stuff, but it's so hostile to like all the rots and stuff that you need to avoid, and the fact that food and shelter is kind of hard to find too. You could just get stuck in here for a very long time, looking for the refraction cell. Plus, there's an overseer trying to point you in the right direction who isn't even very good at this job. I often see the overseer point you in the completely wrong direction. Whoops. Giving you cool powers and taking them away on the story. Yeah. Like Spearmaster being able to hold 2 spears. Finally figuring out a path through a difficult section. Yeah, I find that really satisfying too. It's part of the fun of like learning a speedrun. If I want to go to any region, I know how to get there. Like I know the routes. I know how to run through all of these regions pretty quickly. Just ignored the overseer. Hello, welcome to Twitch. You knew it? You knew that I was talking to other people? Is that what? Oh, I'm dead. Well. You know, it's February right now, which means that Silk Song is relevant. Will the game be released? A debate as old as time itself. But in the odd chance that it comes out this month, or actually it doesn't really matter. Silk Song is a game that I'm going to play right when it comes out, and I'm probably going to stream it too. And it's going to be interesting because Hollow Knight was a game that I did not enjoy as much as most people did. Because people love Hollow Knight. It's like a masterpiece, best game ever, blah blah blah. Like best indie game, I guess. There's other games that people would argue is like a lot better, but for what Hollow Knight is, people really love it. And I did not enjoy Hollow Knight the same way. And Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania, the kind of game where there's a huge map where you get lost and you need to like explore all over the place, you know. And that was probably part of it that I didn't like, the whole getting lost and running around and exploring stuff, which is kind of the appeal of Metroidvanias, right? That's like the whole point, is that there's this huge map that you can like explore and get lost in. So that makes me a little bit worried that I'm going to play Silk Song and not enjoy it because it's a Metroidvania. The tentacles on Proto Long Legs disappear on low quality graphic settings. Do they disappear like just visually, or is it like they actually don't exist anymore? Can they still grab you? Well, that sucks. They don't exist anymore? What? That's cheese. Oops. I need to remember, activate the cell like before you do this slide. I did not experience Rain World in the intended way. Also, I totally messed up the routing here because you're supposed to go fast. But when I first played Rain World, I heavily used the map, and also I was already like partially spoiled about a lot of things. So I was never really lost in Rain World. I always I didn't like being lost. I just used the map, right? And I also used the map in Hollow Knight, but mostly just to find the map, dude, to buy the map. First time doing that wolf pounce, I was always very careful to avoid it. But it's finally happened. Yeah, the whole like massive map, like exploring and getting lost and stuff, that's not really a part of Rain World that I've really experienced too much. Damn, this pile of rock. It's not really a part of the game that I've experienced too much. Ow, shoot, dev tools. And also, I guess the actual Metroidvania, like getting upgrades and being able to like backtrack to access areas that you couldn't access before. That's a big part of Metroidvanias, right? I also don't really like that part as much because it means that you're going through. First of all, you don't know which areas you have access to. You can access yet, right? So if you see some pathway but you can't get there yet, it's like, well, shoot, I need to get an upgrade that will let me access that, right? And then you go and get an upgrade and it's like, well, I could go back to this place to use those upgrades to progress further, but there's also like 20 other places I can do that. Or I could just keep going and get another upgrade so that when I go back to the other place, I'll have even more things to explore because I have this extra upgrade. So it's like, well, I better go unlock like every single upgrade I can and have access to the entire world so that I can just go through it, the whole thing in like a single sweep. Just like find all of the extra content with all of my upgrades, right? But usually at that point, you don't need the upgrades, right? Like, what are you gonna find in all those like secret areas that you couldn't access before? Shoot, okay, I'm messing up the routing again. Like, what are you gonna find? Like, extra upgrades? Like, do you really need even more like health and like damage upgrades if you've already unlocked everything else? I don't know. It's kind of annoying to me. But when I play Silk Song, I'm going to try to approach it with a lot of patience, I guess. And there are parts of Hollow Knight that I really enjoy. I really like the combat. The boss rush, or what is it called? Pantheon, is probably like where I've spent the most time. Just doing the Pantheon a whole lot. What else? The movements, the like platforming challenges, I really enjoy. White Palace, I guess, is like the biggest one. That's like one of my favorite challenges in the game. Going through that area. There's some sort of graphical glitch going on. I wish there were more difficult areas similar to White Palace. So outside of like Path of Pain, there's not really any more like challenging areas. Oh yeah, there's definitely something broken right now. There's a Kaizo mod. Now, even though I just said that I wish there were more challenges, more like platforming challenges, I don't really like mods that make the game more challenging. Because the Hollow Knight community and many other game communities, but I especially notice it in Hollow Knight. The community seems to be obsessed with making the game as difficult and unenjoyable as possible. Like, yes, let's make the hardest boss in the game even more difficult. And also at this, you're not supposed to activate the cell here. Let's make them like as difficult as possible, like tasks only, but then like some crazy person actually beats it, and so alright, time to make it even more difficult. Because like one dude could beat it after like 1,000 attempts. Is that too low? Maybe even more attempts than that. That jump is very difficult for no reason. Also, one of my least favorite parts of Hollow Knight is the first few areas before you get the dash and the wall jump. The fact that that's such a like crucial movement ability is just like, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, it makes sense to have that as an upgrade. And you do get it as, like, the first major upgrade in the game. But everything before the dash just kind of feels, like, not great. You know, getting the wall jump is when the game really opens up. And where the platforming actually becomes really enjoyable. I think I want to just practice shaded for a little bit. Just retry that segment like 20 times in a row. That was awful. These jetfish, they always want to just jump right out of the water into this tunnel, just to block you off. That's very consistent. Like it's not very difficult at all to avoid that jellyfish. Rip some jetfish, goodness. I'm gonna turn off right now. Lantern mass. Where's the lantern fish? Anglerfish? Yeah, that's already a thing. But maybe that'd be kind of cool, like a drop wig but underwater. Rivulet and Saint are tied for best music in their campaigns. Honestly, does Rivulet have much music? What music is unique to Rivulet's campaign, other than like in the Rots or in? I mean, Submerged isn't even unique to Rivulet. Bitter Area, you can go to Bitter Area as Saints. Like, there's not really too many Rivulet exclusive areas other than the Rots. And there's like a handful of like spooky ambient songs in the Rot. So Saint, I think though, Saint has probably some of the best music in the whole DLC. The way that like some songs just get completely switched out for new songs because of how much the world has changed. I think that has a really strong impact. Ah, didn't even do the slide. DevTools is not allowed for this run, you think? Perhaps there's a chance that using mods to give yourself an advantage in the speedrun, you know, may not be allowed. W. V is the instant teleport, and the W is the just pull you towards the cursor. Which is unfortunate because W is my fast roll button. So if I try to do a fast roll with that tools on, I'd fling myself around. You probably see that happen all the time. Okay, I'm just kind of throwing right now. Fast roll on W. My control scheme is a little bit strange. But I didn't have anywhere to put it, because down is usually how I roll, right? Which is on the arrow keys, because the arrow keys is my movements. But I don't really have any, there's not many other keys around the arrow keys that are easy to press at the same time. So I'm like, well, I better use my other hand, right? So what key is easy to access with my other hand, which is on WASD? I guess W. So I have arrow keys for movements. Jump is on spacebar. Shift is grab. D is throw, because that's where my index finger is. And then W is fast roll. I hate this pipe. So it was kind of strange to get used to, because the fast roll button was on a different hand compared to my normal roll button. But I'm just used to it now. You can really get used to any control scheme ever. I'm convinced that you could set your controls to like completely random keys on the keyboard. And as long as your fingers could actually reach all of the keys, and as long as it was also comfortable. Like, those are the main requirements, honestly. That your hands can reach all of the keys, and that they're not like super stretched out. You can get used to that control scheme. Because like the layout of the keys is already completely arbitrary, right? The QWERTY layouts, just like, this is the layout, this is how the keys are arranged, get used to it, and people do get used to it. And there are alternate layouts that people also get used to, you know? I actually, in some games, I switch WASD to, I switch the D and W keys, and I switch the A and S keys in the control scheme. And I get used to that for any game with like top-down movements. That's the control scheme that I use. just to prove my theory correct. What the heck? Are these centipedes causing a problem? I slept there. I could have done a pull hop. I guess that can't happen. No, I wonder sometimes, what would it be like if I could play this game at a smooth frame rate? I think I might actually prefer the way the lag worked in 1.5. Because usually when the game would lag, it was when you were transitioning between rooms, right? So you would enter a room, and then there'd be a lag spike, and then, you know, you would enter the room. It wasn't even like a lag spike. The game just kind of like froze for a second. Or there'd just be like a long pause before you actually enter the room. But now rooms are loaded in like before you actually enter them. Well, that's kind of already how it works, but it's slightly different. Anyway, basically there's like triggers that will, when you pass the trigger, it will load in the next room, and that's when there's like a very small lag spike. When you're moving very fast, when you're in a speedrun, you're constantly hitting these triggers. So you enter this room, a little bit of lag. You enter this room, a little bit of lag, you know. And if that little bit of lag coincides with some particularly difficult movements, you know, it can really mess things up. I don't know what frame rate is, because I actually turned off the frame rate display on Steam. I think I do want to turn that back. If I know where it is. In-game FPS counter. So the frame rate is at 200 right now. 240. Of course, the frame rate seems fine because the frame rate of the stream is locked to 24 FPS. So you're not going to see if it's any higher than that. Also, welcome to the stream. Hello. So frame rate is still very high, like above 200. Underhing is usually pretty laggy. Okay, so it's like 130, 140 right now. It's more cinematic. No, it's because it doesn't lag as much. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I could set it to 30 and it would be fine. But when I started streaming, I had it at like 60 FPS at a higher resolution too, or a higher bitrate. A higher bitrate and a higher frame rate, and it was like not functioning. My computer might not have it just might not have been able to handle that many frames. So I just lowered everything until it stopped like breaking all the time, but it still breaks all the time, so maybe it doesn't really do anything. But I imagine that most of the problems that I have with the stream are mostly internet related and not like computer related. Frame rate has actually been like pretty good. What encoder am I using? I hope I know what you're asking, what you mean by that. Okay, I don't think so. Just eat the fruit. Yes, I am using OBS. Bitrate is 2800 and resolution is 720p. Oops, don't jump there. Yes, hello, welcome to the stream. Ah. Oh, great. Don't do that. Usually I like to jump like diagonally down from this pole. Or your waist long in the right. Hey, it kind of fits. That wall pounce always eludes me. It's such a good wall pounce to get. This wall pounce like it's very inconsistent for some reason. The output was video encoder. Output should be NVIDIA, NVNC H.264. That's English, definitely. That's the good one. Hold towards the wall longer. I was trying to do the opposite. I thought that maybe I was holding it for too long. I guess if that's the problem. Oh, for this room, there's a very smooth way to do this. Don't activate. I don't know, the Ministry streams have been very erratic. There's like a lot of buffering, a lot of dropped frames for those streams. But so far there's been no drop frames at all for this stream, so it just varies a ton. Throw a rocket to zapper to deactivate it. That actually works. Oh, that was a really long cycle. That's funny. Can't wait to get that in an actual run. Also, don't carry a spear into this room, because you won't be able to grab the cell if you have a spear at the same time. I'm bad. I kind of feel bad about all the tech that I've discovered that ends up being really annoying and inconsistent. Like, damn, you have to do this in the run now. No, ideally, I'm not going to make that mistake. Right? That's my idea. I'm just going to practice that enough so that I never fall down there in the first place. That's my mindset for this whole run. Is that maybe a little bit toxic? Open skies. I've noticed that in this run, and a lot of Rain World speedruns in general, big mistakes like that tend to like lose way more time than any tech saves. You may introduce a bunch of new tech that like saves like 3 seconds overall, but if you mess up a single one of them, then you lose like 10 seconds. So avoiding mistakes is like the biggest priority, honestly. Sometimes I'll do this thing where I watch 2 speedruns at the same time, the same run. So like some category, I'll watch 2 different runs in that same category, and I'll compare them. And usually they're both sides will be very close. But the moment one side makes a big mistake, the other side can like make a huge, or take a huge lead, just because of that single little mistake. And I find that it is very rarely the other way around. It's like, there's not often like a huge time save that puts one player ahead of the other. It's usually the other way around. And especially when watching my own run, it's like a lot of mistakes end up being like the majority of the time loss. Just like kind of like sloppy movement or like falling in a pit when like just like trying to correct those mistakes end up being a huge time loss. And maybe your idea is that, you know, backup strats can help mitigate some of that time loss, you know. That if you end up messing up there, then you have some way to at least get yourself out of it. But I say just avoid that, you know. A good run is always, or the best run is going to be the run with the least like mistakes that lose like 10 seconds, you know. Okay, don't do that. Yes, I am back to Rain World. I want to do at least one Rain World stream every week still. Even if I'm focusing on some other game for a while. Oops, you're supposed to boost out of this. Still fall damage from that. Okay, I need to redo this whole room. This room still, I feel kind of weird about this room for some reason. That's what what? Okay, you're not supposed to take fall damage there, but okay then. I kind of want to experiment with doing a jump boosted slide pounce to get out of that gates, because if you do a regular slide pounce, you'd like run straight into that little bump on the floor. don't really like optimizing gate movement because it takes forever to reset. Like, if you want to if you want to practice gate movement, you need to go to a new gate, really, because it's gonna close and you have to find a new gate. Or maybe there's a way to like keep a gate open, maybe like a mod or something. If you could just keep a gate permanently open, you could practice jumping out of it real quick, but I don't know of a way to do that right now. That was bad. Are you supposed to hold down or up? Get the water bounce. Because I feel like holding down tends to just send you down. Unsurprisingly. Either one. Well, maybe I'll try holding up then. I think I'm gonna redo shaded like 10 times in a row. Actually, I really need a lot of practice for this area. You can tell because I keep forgetting when to activate the cell. Maybe. Crazy strategy. No. I wanted to activate the cell and then get a wall bounce at the same time. And maybe that would be like a better wall bounce in that room. Okay, worst jump I've ever gone out of that pipe. Goodness, this cycle sucked. Was that noise? Or that was a noise? Oh, okay then. At least the cell is active right now, so... I don't really like collecting like a huge amount of rarefaction cells. Okay, I should find which room it is. Where is this room? Oh, they're literally right there. I want to be on this side, please. That's new movement. Can I get that every time? That worked pretty well. This is where you're supposed to do the slide bounce here. Okay. Sure. Yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And hit the notification bell too. I haven't practiced that. You would eat the flowers here. This is sub. I think it is. Yeah, sub. Maybe, you know, this game, or this song isn't in the game, but maybe they just want to wait and add it to a later region. Okay, this room, I don't understand this room. I thought I understood it, and then I didn't. If you jump immediately, you die. You get brain damage. Yeah. Apparently there's going to be a content update eventually. I think someone mentioned something about it. See, okay, it works that time. Not that time. It works that time. I don't know. I think delay it a little bit, and it'll work. But they included so many other good Alpha songs. Why leave out that one? And why make a remix of it specifically, instead of just adding the original song? Okay, that the impossible jump remains to be impossible. The cell made it. Don't like urban jungle. Restore just alarm noises. I like that part. I mean, not really as music. And I don't listen to the first 4 minutes of the song and go like, yeah, this is good music, you know. But it's like it's nice atmosphere. I think it's way better in game where it actually kind of sounds more like just ambience instead of music. It gives a certain feeling to your outskirts that I do enjoy. No, what the heck? What is this? Worst case scenario just happened. Goodness. Stops you from hearing outskirts threat? I guess so. This song reminded me of something, and I totally forgot what it was. He grabbed me. And he's like, oh, see, he's so nice. The more you struggle, the harder it is to escape. What does that even mean? Oh, okay, I remember what it is. Because there's this game. I don't think I want to say what game it is, but there's this game. It's kind of Metroidvania-ish. Anyway, the important thing about it is that it has music that plays, as many games do. Music that plays when you're exploring. Except each of the songs in the OST is like very long. They're like 7, 8, 9 minutes long. Each of the songs, which I really appreciate. Because when there's a huge area that you're running out and exploring and fighting stuff and doing whatever, you know, one like song that loops after like 2 minutes, it can get pretty annoying. Like, tutorial music is good, but most of the songs are very short. Like, some of them loop after like under a minute. It's like you're just listening to this one like minute long loop just over and over and over and over again. But this game, you know, I appreciate the how long the songs are, and they aren't just like 5 minutes and they loop. No, it's like 7 minutes, where it's unique the entire way through. And so the song like might loop like a total of like 3 times in this whole area. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. If you're gonna stay in this area for a very long time, the song should be very long so that it doesn't loop too often. It still hasn't crashed. I'm very surprised. Maybe entering arena mode actually did help. Is Urban Jungle the longest song in the game? It's like 7 minutes long. I don't know if there's another one that's longer than that. That's a really good one. Wow. Okay, Urban Jungle is 6 minutes 17 seconds. Four minutes. Okay, some other songs are 4 minutes long. I don't have every song on my playlist, so I can't actually check everything. Oh wow, what a great AI hop. Oh, okay, Random Fate is almost 5 minutes long. That's pretty close. Another one that's 5 minutes long. Well, I didn't find anything else. But there are a handful of songs that are like 5 minutes long. I guess it is a little bit unfortunate when a song is so long that it tends to get cut off before it can finish. But usually that only happens if you're like speedrunner. Because if you're playing casually, you might stick around in an area for a very long time, and the song will actually get to play out its entirety. I feel like the jump off of that pole that lets you land smoothly on the platform is like frame perfect or something. Or the window was like a handful of frames at most, because it's actually really difficult. And you don't want to jump off the pole too late, because then you just don't jump at all and you fall back down. So don't pick up stuff in there. Pretty good. I mean, it's always going to be pretty good with no snails and scavengers, right? So not a fair comparison. I think that the Steam frame rate display is lying to me, because it's staying pretty consistently high, even when there are lag spikes. Okay, I forgot the movement for some reason. Also, turn storage there really sucks. Wow, this is really bad. You ever have a really good run and then suddenly it just sucks? That same trick that you do in the started drainage system, you can do there. To do the backflip slightly higher up and to the side, and it makes it a little bit more consistent. But also, doing the jump at the right time is also quite difficult. But I'm sure that if you practice the one in drainage system, this one will also be pretty easy. Okay, I'm really bad at that. You know, if there were save states, I could save right before the gate opens, and then practice that movement over and over again by just reloading that save state. Shoot, I forgot. Forgot the movement. He fell down for me, thank you. I should probably practice the backup movement there because it's actually useful. I'm gonna say that's the first time I've done that room cleanly today. Why am I picking up items? I don't want items here. I just did a backflip down there. I didn't even know that was possible. It's definitely possible to get here before 8 minutes. Or maybe I've done it before and this is actually a slow run. I don't know, I don't have splits on right now. Also, actually, this is not counting karma catching. I didn't karma catch this run, so these times are not actually what you would get in a real run. Also, I think I've gotten the bad cycle here like every single time. Okay. That's funny. This jump right here, jumping down into the pipe in 0 gravity, is actually like the worst jump in the whole run. It's not even like a it's free. Okay, well. it's not even like a crazy movement tech that gives you like a huge time save. No, it's just like basic movements. Just go down, you know? Okay, I don't know how to do this. Every time I'm doing a speedrun, I'm really happy to hear any echo theme at all. And honestly, just overall, I think there's some of the best songs in the entire game, and in like any game at all. Nice one. I don't know. That the echoes in general are just like one of the most fascinating things in this game, and part of what kind of set Rain World apart from like just like every other game. Just like, oh yeah, there's these echoes here. It's like, don't mind them. They're just these like, and also, they're like crazy in the lore too, because they're kind of like a hidden like puzzle piece. Because the echoes answer so many questions. Okay, mess that up. The echoes answer so many questions the moment you realize why they're here. Because the whole deal with the like the great problem and everything does not make sense unless you know that about the echoes. Because you got the ancients, and they have this problem, and they want to solve this great problem by creating iterators, right? These massive supercomputers. And maybe you can figure out that the great problem is trying to find a way to ascend, or just to die permanently, right? But why would you need to make a massive supercomputer to solve this great problem if the Void Sea exists, right? Just go at the depth and ascend like that, right? What's the downside? We already have a way to ascend. What's up with these huge like supercomputers? And then the echoes are like, hello. Suddenly it all makes sense once you realize what the echoes are. It's like everything just becomes clear at that point. I think the great problem was motivated by the existence of echoes. Because the whole like ancients deal is that they were trying to escape this cycle that they were in of infinite rebirth. And I was like, we need to escape this. Like, this is our like entire point of our entire civilization, and all of our culture and religion and everything revolves around this great cycle. Everything that they were trying to do was to get out of this cycle. At least everything that we know about. Maybe history is skewed towards the ones who sided with the belief of like trying to escape the cycle. And if, like, I guess all the lore that we hear is from the iterators, whose entire purpose is to solve the great problem, so they're probably biased. But, you know, without the existence of echoes, there'd be no reason to make the iterators, because the Void Sea would then be a perfect solution to the problem. Right? Like, oh, want to ascend? Just go to the Void Sea, right? But then some of them became ancients, and the ancients, yes, they were ancients. Some of them became echoes, and the echoes were the exact opposite of what they were trying to achieve, right? They were trying to find a way to escape the cycle, and becoming an echo was the exact opposite of that, of being permanently trapped in a state even worse than what they were already in. And they're like, shoot, our like biggest like solution yet suddenly has like a massive problem that is like even worse than how we already are. And so the entire reason of creating the iterators was to avoid becoming an echo. And there were plenty, I'm sure that the majority of ancients who ascended via Void Sea, Void Bath, I'm sure that they were fine. The echoes were probably in the minority, considering that we only see a handful of echoes in the whole game. Especially in Metropolis, where there should have been, I mean, who knows how many ancients, but assume like there's a pretty good quantity of them for only one echo that we see in Metropolis. And I guess there's another one on the wall. Because of ghost stories. I don't know, they were pretty like religious and spiritual. They probably took them seriously. if there were like some reports of these echoes that represented the possibility of being trapped forever in the cycle that they were trying to escape, I feel like they'd have pretty good reason to try to avoid it as much as possible. And plus, they had incredibly advanced technology after the discovering void fluids. Like there was a whole revolution, right? So I assume that creating the iterators was actually like quite easy. And plus, you'd probably want to create a massive supercomputer anyway to just like solve like problems in general, not just the great problem. Honestly, the first few iterators might not have even been for the great problem. They might have just created them anyway, and then realized, oh, you know, these massive supercomputers would be really useful for solving this problem that we have. Although the way the lore has it, it kind of makes it look like the iterators were created once the great problem became a thing. Like, oh, shoot, there's this problem, now we should go create these massive supercomputers. Yeah, some of the Moon and Pebbles also say that they were a gift, you know. So I'm sure that they did more than just solve the great problem. But I'm sure that the reason so many of them were created were mostly because of the great problem. Like, oh shoot, this is still a problem our iterator did not solve. I guess we'll make another and another and another, and it just kind of kept going. And at some point, they kind of needed to be created just to have somewhere to live. You know, for this, just to have space to build cities, really. Like that's kind of why Pebbles was created, just because there was overpopulation in Moon City. So they just created another iterator just to take care of that one problem. Oops, eat the neuron first. There were probably some people in ancient society who had great status, you know, who were very well known, who had experiences with echoes, and brought attention to them, you know. Like if a very well-respected member of the community brought up echoes as like a serious problem, then other people would also think that it's a serious problem. It might not. It wouldn't have to just be some random person, you know. And then some other people are like, oh yeah, I've had dreams like where these echoes showed up, you know. So they would be like at least a little bit believable, not just sound completely crazy. I mean, there's a lot of things that are technically impossible to prove, like color. But I guess there are situations where it can be something that isn't real. But if enough people agree to each other that it is real, then they say, yeah, this thing is real. I have other people here to prove it. They say it's real too, you know? careful. I hate that. I don't like that. I'm never doing that again. Definitely not an overreaction. Wow. Okay, I thought I did land on the right spot that time. Like I was trying to land on that little ledge on purpose. I guess you need to do something different there. I think this room is one of my favorite rooms. If you ignore the DLL. If you ignore the DLL in the room, it has really fun movement. See? Jump boosted flat bounce. Kind of works out. I might not have gone far enough. Okay, it worked out. Oh, yeah, stream is buffering. That's great. It might be back now. I never get this wall pounce first try, which is really unfortunate because you want to get it first try so that you don't get seen by the orange lizards. That's the main like goal, right? If you can just enter that room and slide pounce immediately, or wall pounce immediately, then you can avoid the orange lizards. Oh. I should come up with a different strat for that room. Actually, I can do that right now. I considered doing something like that before. I guess that works out still. Oops. Don't activate the cell yet. Not here. Whoa, I didn't even expect to get a jump that good. I didn't take advantage of it, but I definitely could have made it up. That was a really good jump. Time to analyze the input display for 10 hours and figure out how I actually did it. Funny movement? No. Oh, maybe. Maybe. There's a rock like last minute. Right region for a song? Oh yeah. I guess so. The song plays in like the lower areas of the shoreline though. Nice. No jetfish in here this time. That's wonderful. But it also means more jetfish in the next room, which is not wonderful. But the number of jetfish in these areas, see, they're awful. The number of jetfish in these areas is a constant. It's just where they are distributed. That was clean. I think I always go into that tunnel backwards. It's just unavoidable at this point. Then a Neo Lizard shows up and your run is over. Arena mode? As far as I know, the arena tech works. How many spears this time? If your EI hop is too good, you actually lose time. Really? Okay, 27 minutes exactly. Although, there was one time in Shaded where I purposely went backwards to redo a room. So this would have, well, butterfly effect, so who knows, but this could have been below 27, but then add back on, I didn't karma cache this run, so add like a minute or 30 seconds, I forget how much karma caching adds, but that was pretty good. Also, hello. Welcome to the stream. Maybe I should redo some difficult areas. I've been struggling with Shaded. Or Pebbles. Maybe I'll just start at Pebbles. Where are you? Wrong one. Aha. Don't have to do this room in zero gravity. Which is probably bad because I could practice the other one. It's kind of funny. Sometimes you want it to be a certain cycle to be faster, but sometimes you want it to actually practice it because it's more difficult. Like, ideally, actually, for practice, I get all of the most difficult cycles. So I can actually, like, make them less difficult for myself. Okay, now I'm just dead. Penalty for making a mistake? Death. That one wall pounce. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I've yet to figure out the right setup to consistently enter the like little area in the top. Honestly, it wouldn't hurt to just sit there, eat the neuron, and wait for the low gravity. The only other time you get to eat a neuron is right here, while you're waiting for the gravity to change. Well, okay. I looked away and so I couldn't see the cell for a second. Where'd it go? Nice. I did the shelter in only 4 minutes. It's like world record pace. Oh, I'm starving. Oops. Did not have enough food. I guess it was the end of the cycle at that point. You know, it makes sense for the shelter to close automatically if it's raining. But if it's in an area like this where there is no timer, I don't think the shelter should close automatically. Like, whoops, you accidentally locked yourself in, and now you are gonna start. Oh, the fruit was in the way. I kind of want to practice that lineup to consistently enter that pipe from a slide pounce. Really? Ah. Yep, that broke all the cycles. stopping by. I am ending the stream soon anyway. Ow. Brain damage. Poor Rivulet. Okay. Really? Can I just avoid fall damage for one moment? Really? That setup was so consistent earlier. Never take fall damage the whole time. See, it works that time. But I don't know if I want to use it if I know that I might take fall damage randomly. Okay, shaded. I will... What time is it? I will end stream when I get to shoreline. That is the cutoff point. I could just finish the rest of the run. But it's specifically shaded that I want to focus on anyway. Too early. Shoot, I forgot to, whatever. I mean... This room is about the same speed with or without the cell enabled. But then this room, if you have the cell enabled, it's much faster because you do a slide bounce right here and you just kind of fly across the whole room. But you have to have really good timing from the earlier cell activation. If you slow down even once, then you might not be able to make it here. Okay, I'm not gonna die to that rot like for the third time today. Okay, finally I actually hit that wall pounce. I think I just need to do the timing later than I think I need to. Which is kind of doesn't make sense. But like, just delay it. Delay it more than I am now. I still have to wait a little bit there. Oh dear. Alright, whatever. I get to do this room without the cell on. It's nice. But yeah, we're making it to the end now. It is very difficult, especially with water movement. I mean, you'd think that like shoreline would have the most difficult water movement, but swimming underwater is not too difficult. But like bouncing off at the top of water has a very awkward timing. That's where most of the difficulty is. And with some of my old strategies, I didn't do that at all, and it wasn't a problem. But now, like, since the water hops are like they're the ideal strategy, you know. Now I have to actually practice some timing that I'm not very used to. Anyway, that's going to be the end. It is nice to play, just for practice. Just these practice speedruns, they're more enjoyable than regular speedruns. But I will have to return to the normal ones eventually, if I actually want to like finish a run. I will. I won't stream Rainworld next week until, well, I'll do like one like Rivulet stream, you know. I'll probably be playing Ministry or some more. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. See ya.